Wow. Hello, everybody. How are you? Welcome. Welcome to our last day. Have you all had a good convention? Good. That's an impressive camera over there.
Thank you.
What are you doing?
I'm just getting video clips of the weekend and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like in an official capacity for the convention?
Unofficially.
Just for you?
But it'll probably be making its way to the page.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I checked my teeth. I don't think I have any lunch in there.
Okay, from this one.
So we'll see. You guys, we have the Mandalorian in the audience. Don't look now. Everybody already looked. Sorry. How you doing, Mando? Good. Right on. Hi. Yesterday I had someone else here, so it was, easy to just riff off of each other, but now it's just me. So how do you do these panels when it's just one person? What happens?
Ask for questions, and I will run around with a microphone like a chicken with my head cut off. And
will you really run? Because I want to see that.
I'll trot.
And I'll be like, go, 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 go.
You can do that if you'd like.
Okay.
So, Dean's supposed to show up too, so
Yeah, he told me. He said once he gets his sandwich, he's going to come in here and heckle me.
Yeah, while eating, he might spit at you. So
I can take it. I'm ready.
Cool. Anyone have questions?
You didn't have questions?
I have a hand over here. You were Sam.
Yes, that was. So, first, I love you as Amara. You were amazing. Thank you. Her name is Kaylee.
Kaylee, for those of you who were not in the panel yesterday, we improvised an episode of Supernatural, and Kaylee starred as Sam, and she was brilliant.
I didn't make a fool of myself.
No, you did not. You were great.
My question is, I also know you from The Last of Us Part 2, and that...
Where I was another really nice person.
But I wanted to ask if there were any differences that you noticed from acting in front of a camera versus the motion capture.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, I can't sit. So, have all of you seen what the motion capture suits look like? Yes. You feel like an idiot because you look like an idiot, and you can't escape that reality because the other actors that you're working with all look like idiots. Yeah, but while you're doing it, you're seeing everyone else that looks like idiots, and you don't know what it's going to look like in the end. It's an amazing thing. I mean, that's one of the coolest things about the process is that you see what it looks like in the end, and you remember when everyone looked like idiots. I mean, you've got this suit on. You usually don't have any hair because you've got this thing over your head, and you usually have a camera on your head that's capturing your face, which is amazing because they can now, they didn't used to be able to capture the performance of the actor. But it really does. It's sort of the purest form of just using your imagination in acting because you don't have any set, you don't have any costumes. Your fellow actors are not wearing any sort of hair and makeup. You really have to imagine everything. And so in that way, it's kind of cool. And it really is I guess acting in its absolute purest form because all you have is imagination. So in that way, it is very fun. And you can't help but you have to have a sense of humor about it because it's so silly. So that's the biggest difference for sure. And then I think that the one that's easiest for me to get lost in is stage acting because you have the longest stretches of time where you are alone with the sets and the costumes and the other actors, and there's minimal intrusion into the imaginary world that's been created. There's an audience out there, but usually the lights are shining on you in a way that you can't really see them. Although you can see them enough to know when people are falling asleep or talking to people next to them, or so you notice those things. But when you're on a film set, it's so much of being an actor is being able to block out all of the things that could distract you from being in the story that you're trying to tell. And when you're on a set, you're constantly trying to ignore, like, well, here's an example. A lot of people ask me what it was like when I was on Supernatural and I had an episode where I had to kiss this character named Dean, who, for those of you who don't know the show, is like one of the two main, like, super good-looking guys. And you know, the scene itself, it seems like it's super romantic. It's just like the two of us alone in the woods. But shooting that, we're surrounded by like a crew of 100-something people. We were out in the wilderness, and there were people whose specific duty was to be on bear watch, because we had we had food out there because actors need food, and there were apparently bears trying to get our food. So there were these people on bear watch. We had guys with, like, there's always somebody with a boom mic that's about this close to your head, and he's trying not to hit you in the head. And you have guys with lights, and you're trying not to step on wires and everything. So, and you're trying to hit your mark. So you're trying to create all those things in your imagination, and ignore all the things that aren't supposed to be there, and be in the moment and remember what you created in your mind, but also respond to things that are happening right now. It's a lot of things. It's no wonder that a lot of actors are a little bit crazy, because it's a lot of things to, like, both respond to and not respond to. So that was a very long-winded answer to your question, but I hope that answers your question. You're welcome. Thanks for the question. Oh, well, hi. Thank you. Thank you.
So after all that, how was the kiss with Jensen?
So what I usually do is I take people through a guided meditation when I get that question. How many of you are Supernatural fans? Okay, there's a fair enough number. For the rest of you who are not, just picture some other good-looking person that you would like to kiss, and just close your eyes. And I want you to imagine that there's a nice breeze blowing through your hair, however long your hair is, or even if you don't have hair, there's a nice breeze blowing through. And you lean in. Hopefully there's some very good breath happening. Hopefully you have some very good breath. And I don't know, what's that like? There you go, there's your answer. That's all I've got for you.
Any other questions? We got one over here.
Hello.
Hi.
My name's Travis. How are you? So working on shows like The Mandalorian, what is like the level of like secrecy or like secret scripts or anything, or like have you ever come close to like letting out something that you shouldn't have leaked online or anything?
What's The Mandalorian? I don't know what you're talking about.
This is the way.
This is the way, yeah. Oh man, it is definitely the most secretive thing I've ever worked on. I mean, I tell people when they ask me questions about it, I feel like I am constantly being followed by like a Disney drone or something, and that at any moment you might see a red light in the shape of mouse ears on my head, and then one of my friends had a really great description for what it feels like, you know, when people ask me if I'm going to be shooting or not, and truly, like, we as actors, like, we know nothing in advance. And so he kept hearing me get asked this question at one of the conventions, and so he said, so what happens is a van pulls up to her house, they throw a bag over her head, they shove her in the van, they drive her to set, they get her out, they put her in the costume, they shove her over there, Jon Favreau says, say the line, say the line. She says, this is the way. They put the bag back on her head and they drive her home. It sort of feels like that. Yes, we are not given access to full scripts. Now, if there is I did feel when we were working on the first season that if I had a question that was pertinent to my character and I wasn't understanding something that was going on just from the script pages that I had that I could ask. They do try to help you out with that. But I think they want to make it as challenging as possible for you to accidentally let something slip, so they just give you as little as possible.
Did you ever come close to like telling a friend or saying something online about anything?
Well, I did. I told my family that I was part of it because I shot everything for the first season before it was even announced. And I remember there was this moment where I have 2 nephews. And at the time, one of them is 10 now, so he would have been 7. And I told them that I was going to be in this Star Wars TV show. And Jones, the older one, went to school and told all of his friends. And I freaked out a little bit. And I was like, Mom, Jones told all of his friends. And she was like, honey, he's 7. Who's going to believe him? When he's like, my aunt's going to be in Star Wars. They'll be like, oh, sure, kid. And I was like, yeah, that's definitely a valid point. I'm trying to think. I try not to say anything. And if I do lately, because people have asked me, my theories about things, and I just try to preface it with this is not anything official at all. I don't know. Here's maybe a cool idea, or here's what I heard somebody say. But no, I don't think I've come close to spilling anything. It is interesting how people twist your words, though. Because, as I've started doing more conventions lately and people keep asking me if I'm going to be in season 3 and I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. And then I'll see things like actress plays coy with whether she's going to be in season 3. And I'm like, I'm not being coy. I don't know, dude. I didn't know for sure that I wasn't going to be in season 2 until I realized they were shooting the last episode for season 2. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm not in it.
We want you back, so.
Thank you, and that means a lot to me. And I've heard a lot of people say that they want to know more about the Armorer, and that really just means the world to me. And I want to know more about the Armorer. Yeah. And I feel like she holds the key to a lot.
Armorer spinoff.
I have ideas for that.
Yeah. Dating game?
Yeah.
I was here obviously yesterday, so.
You were. We were both here. Yeah. Yeah. Yesterday in the panel, even though we were mostly talking about Supernatural, I mentioned that I'd had this idea for because everyone's getting a spinoff on Disney Plus. So I feel like, even though I don't know quite how this fits into the Disney Plus brand, that the Armorer could have a dating show, and instead of on The Bachelor they hand out the rose, but on this show they would hand out the hammer. And when you hand out the hammer, you would say, I'd hit that. Instead of, do you accept this rose? So there's one idea. I also, at a convention I was doing recently, I was just getting so tired of saying, I don't know if I'll be in season 3. So I said, yes, actually what I heard, the official word, is that the Armorer has opened a karaoke bar, and Paz Vizsla is the head bartender. Because I did always sort of think that set for... her forge and that wonderful lair that she had in season 1 that then got taken over by those stupid Aqualish. I thought that I was like, what is the Armorer doing there when she's all by herself? And so I would imagine sometimes that a disco ball would just descend from the ceiling and she would just have these moments of, big emotional power ballads that she would sing, or maybe she'd throw karaoke parties for the rest of the Mandalorians. So that's another possibility that could happen. Disney's going to use all my ideas.
And you won't get any credit, right?
Right, yeah.
Any other questions? All right. Crossing universes.
We welcome you. We can all be friends.
My character is Lieutenant Jazia Dax from D Space Nine, but my name is Nicole.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi there. Since there's so much secrecy around this, and you said that you didn't even realize that you were in season 1 until after season 1 came out. Am I correct by saying that?
No, I didn't realize I was not going to be in season 2 until I did the math and I knew that we were shooting the last episode of season 2, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm not in it.
With the secrecy around this, then how did you even go for auditions and get cast for that particular role? I mean, were you aware that something was available and you wanted to see, this seems interesting. How did that take place originally?
It was not a particularly special audition as far as I knew. It was something that I auditioned for the same way that I auditioned for hundreds of things that I never get. I knew that it had something to do with Star Wars, but they were so vague about it that I didn't really put much stock into it.
So there wasn't anything special or specific that, this seems interesting, or it was just one of the many?
Yeah, it was just one of the many, which I'm so grateful for, because if I had had any idea, I would have freaked out. I would have been so nervous.
Especially because the following, I mean, this is major. And,
oh my gosh!
And the fandom universe.
And my agent was like, yeah, we think it might be some kind of like Star Wars live action series, but they've never done one of those. So, and it's on some new streaming platform. So there was enough like vagueness about it that, and I just try not to think too much about things when I audition for them. I would rather not know what it is, because I don't get the majority of what I audition for. So what's the point of like, if it's something specific that is going to help me with the audition, I want to know. But I try not to speculate about like what amazing thing it might be, because that's just going to stress me out. And the audition itself, I knew that it was a masked character, and I knew that she was the leader of a group of people in hiding. And I went in and I did the audition just with one other person in the room. It was just the casting associate. And, there was nobody from the production in there. And I just did that one audition. I didn't have a callback. I didn't have anything else. And then they offered it to me. And even that, I think at that point, they were still sort of trying to figure out what they were putting together. And they weren't auditioning a lot of parts. They were like offering a lot of parts to really impressive fancy actors. So they weren't even quite sure. They were like, you might be in more than one episode. We don't really know. Like, I don't even think they quite knew what the part was yet.
So they were allowing the character to evolve as the seasons or the episodes progressed. Mm-hmm. Was the costume heavy? I mean, was it breathable? I mean, It was
not that heavy, I am pleased to say. It was hot. I definitely sweat a lot in it. But Mando's costume was a lot heavier than mine. Yeah. And it was, it's such an interesting thing to wear, because I don't feel super powerful wearing it, except that I know how it looks. So there is a feeling of strength, but it's actually very encumbering. Like, I have limited vision, and I have the potential to trip on a lot of things.
Right.
I mean,
so the eye slits were small, and
I've got like no peripheral vision. I couldn't see down. I mean, the first few days that all of us who were dressed up like Mandalorians, the first few days on set was like the Three Stooges, because we were just like bonk helmets and we were tripping on things.
So there was no training class.
Sorry?
There was like no training class.
Being on set was the training class. But it was so much fun.
Right.
Because we had so much freedom to try things out. And we were shooting episodes 1 and 3 at the same time. And Deborah Chow and Dave Filoni were directing those together. And we had such a great time trying to find together the language of these Mandalorians and what... I had done some mask training and theater work, but it's a different thing on camera because... when you're on stage and you're in a mask, the audience still can see your whole body the whole time. And on camera, the audience is only seeing what the camera wants you to see at any given time. So they might be seeing just your head. They might be seeing another character entirely. So you're limited in what kind of communication they're getting from you.
Right.
And so we were learning very quickly what communicated well and what was really distracting. And for my character especially, too much movement was really distracting. So like when I was walking across a room, I couldn't like look down to see if I was gonna trip on something. I just had to trust that I wasn't going to. And that was an interesting thing, because in my head I was like, I'm gonna trip. And it was like a cool cool thing to try on in my head, to just trust that I was going to make it. And I was like, well, this character would trust that she would make it. And most of the time I did make it. But it was a weird, like the juxtaposition between how I actually felt and like what I can actually see and do versus what it looks like was very, very different.
Well, you pulled it off very well. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, friends that have just joined us.
Did you have to wear a mask during the audition?
I did not, which is sort of a weird thing. I
That
just
is
tried
kinda-
not to use my face too much.
Here we are. 1, then 2.
I'm Molly. Hi.
What's up, Molly?
I gave up on the mask. I'm just going to say I ripped it off and I threw it in the car.
What do you mean?
I met you earlier. I was the other Mando.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, I kept falling and tripping and running into small children.
See, you understand.
And there's one Grogu with an axe and he kept hitting me in the chest and I just gave up.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
And it kept getting caught in my glasses and I gave up.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's right. It's not easy. But knowing that you don't know yet what's going to happen and you can't officially say, do you think the armor will help resettle Mandalore given the chance?
I mean, I feel like I have to say what I told you I have to say. This is not anything official.
Yeah, no.
This is my pure speculation. I
Just
think
your
it would
fan
be.
theory.
I think that is something she would be invested in. Yeah. What do you think?
I personally subscribe to the theory that she is the reincarnated Duchess Satine.
Oh. Wow. Okay.
There's just, she just follows so much of the way that Satine was.
Uh-huh.
And the fact that they brought Bo-Katan back, it's like, well, maybe she got brought back by the sisters on, I can never say the planet's name, the people who brought back Darth Maul. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Thank you. So why not bring back the old ways, which is what she tried to do the entire time on
tried to
Clone
did
Wars.
that.
She tried to did that.
I like that idea. Why
also,
not?
the Sabrak horns on the helmet. It's just,
Well, what those may be, they're not
yeah,
definitely that.
yeah. It's just that's what I think. So why not?
Yeah. I like that idea. Again, I don't know.
Hi, I'm Kara.
Hi, Kara.
You've shared us a few funny stories, but anything in particular that stands out as a blooper or a flub or any kind of an on-set prank of either The Mandalorian or Supernatural? It's kind of a funny story that stands out to you of something that happened.
Yeah. Trying to think of what I want to talk about in the moment, in which set. I mean, I just really do wish that they had released, like, with some of the behind the scenes stuff, some of the idiocy that happened when we, especially because those scenes were just so solemn, the scenes between the armorer and Mando, and they gave me this. I mean, the table that they gave me was so tiny. It was so tiny. And the little stool I was supposed to sit on was so low. And I remember just like trying to like squat down to get there, and it was so awkward, and he had the same issue, and like we had to figure out who was gonna sit when, and we just kept like hitting helmets together. And then those gloves that I had, which looked so great and so powerful, at one point John said to me, he was like, "You must feel like you're trying to do everything with oven mitts," because they were just too big. And I did, and I was like trying to pick up tools, and I was like, and they had these beautiful tools because the level of craftsmanship was just exquisite. And had these beautiful tools, and I couldn't pick them up because my gloves were too big. And thank goodness for good editing, because it didn't look like that at all. I mean, the armorer looks so cool, and man, I felt like such a doofus so much of the time. So thank goodness that all that worked out. There was a lot. I mean, I'm so grateful that on both of those sets, there's just so much laughter. There's so much good cheer, and so much. I think that so much of that comes from the humility and the graciousness that exists with those casts and those crews, and the level of passion and love that all those people have for their work. And I feel really, really fortunate to have gotten to work in those environments. Faux show. Thank you. Oh, there's the sandwich guy back there.
He ate it.
Oh, man. He said you were going to, like, spit some on me. Promises.
I haven't swallowed it all.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Bella.
Bella?
Yeah,
Nice to meet you, Bella.
nice to meet you. So I know you played like a lot of characters. Which one was your favorite to play?
Well, I don't have one favorite. I mean, top three. One of my favorites is definitely Amara, because that is the first time I've ever gotten to be the bad guy, and that is so satisfying. So satisfying. Also, because I think that she was a particularly well-written villain. She was complex, and I immediately could connect with why she was behaving so badly. You know, they wrote her with a definite, with a such a relatable source of hurt, and she was misunderstood, and she felt like no one was listening to her, and the one person, if you can call it, you know, Chuck, whatever he is, the one family member that she had in the world and the universe was ignoring her and had, you know, locked her up since the beginning of time, which kind of blows. And she just wanted to talk to him, and she wanted some answers, and she couldn't track him down. And then everyone else that she came up against wouldn't stop talking about how great he is, and they'd never even met him. And so she was understandably a little bit frustrated. And I really liked how she evolved. I liked that I think she surprised us all with where she went on her journey. I didn't love how she ended. I was sort of bummed out for her, but to get to play a villain and to get to let out so many of the things that we, for good reason, don't let out in our day-to-day lives was pretty fun. Yeah. And I had really great hair that never got messed up no matter what. Like, I would get beat up by like witches and demons and smited by all these creatures, and my hair was just always fabulous. That was great.
What do you think your character would happen if the other Mandalorians found out about not being like the head honcho?
If the enemy of the what?
Like, you know how you lost the Darksaber?
I didn't lose the Darksaber. Don't blame me.
Technically, you're not in charge of it anymore.
But when was I ever in charge of it?
Oh. Well, Mando is it?
Are you thinking of Bo-Katan?
Yeah, Bo-Katan.
Oh, I'm not Bo-Katan. That's her fault. You can totally ask Bo-Katan that question.
Well, I mean, like, what do you think of Mando being, like, you know, your leader?
I think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because I don't really know if Mando wants to be a leader.
You know, he would basically send squadron of you guys to protect the child.
He what?
He would send squadron of you to protect the child.
Yeah, he might do that.
I don't know. Luke might not like that, so.
Hi, I'm Aaron.
Hey, Aaron.
I know you had limited screen time with Grogu, but I was wondering what your experience was working with the puppet, acting off of the puppet.
That kid is such a diva. He's the worst. He's always in his trailer, never comes to set. No, it's, man, you know, it's ridiculous because you know he's a puppet, and he reduces you to such idiocy because he's so he's so beautifully made and he's so cute. And I'm sure by now, like most of you have heard the story about, because they didn't know if they were going to use the shots with the puppet or if they were going to CGI it in later. And so for every scene that had Grogu, they would shoot it with the puppet, and they would shoot it with blank, I don't remember what it's called, blank plates or something like that. You're nodding your head like maybe I'm saying the right thing? Thank you. Okay, good. And then Werner Herzog saw what they were doing, and he said, "You are cowards." And he was basically like, "You got to use the puppet." And he was right. And I'm so glad that they did that. And that, I mean, I think that that's one of the things that pays such homage to the original 3 movies. And I think it just looks better. I mean, it just feels so much more tangible. It feels so much more real. And it is so much more real. And it's man, the design of that puppet really is perfection, because it does, like, you can't help but be delighted when you're in his presence. So it's pretty cool. And it's pretty bizarre because, you know, he's a puppet. And he's taken over the world.
One over here, then I'll be right over there.
Hi, I'm Monica.
Hi,
Thanks
Monica.
for coming today. I just want to ask you, like, what made you get into acting and why do you stay in it? Like, what's, I don't know, your drive, and how old were you when you started?
Well, how old wasn't I? I mean, I've been, you know, performing like with my cousins and stuff since I was a really little kid. We would do home movies, and I remember we would make commercials a lot for household objects. Commercials for bizarre things like plastic cups. But we just loved doing that with a, you know, big old clunky VHS camera. And I sang from a really early age. I like sang in the church choir, and I always loved performing, but I didn't have anybody, I didn't think about doing it for a living because I didn't know anyone who did that. It didn't really seem like an actual thing that you did. And I was just curious about so many things. There were so many things I wanted to do, but it was always something that was consistent in my life. And then when I was in college, my time was sort of divided between doing lots of stuff in the drama department and taking acting classes, but my major was in Middle Eastern Studies and Foreign Affairs, and I thought I was going to go into the State Department and work for the Foreign Service, and I like interned at the State Department, and my time was pretty equally divided until my last year. And then I had an acting teacher who saw how much I loved it, and he finally, you know, posed the question to me. He said, have you thought about doing this for a living? Do you want to do this for a living? You seem to love it, and you seem to have skill, and maybe you should consider that. And I said, yeah, I guess I kind of do. And so I auditioned for, I also knew enough to know that I could not just rely on my instincts. Like, I'd had some really challenging roles that were totally out of my element, and I knew I needed more tools to draw from. So I wanted more like concentrated training. And not everybody needs that, but I wanted that. So I went to NYU and I got my MFA. And I'm so grateful that I had that opportunity, because that was definitely something that helped me and opened a lot of doors, because it was great to be training in New York and working with directors that I could then work with when I graduated. And I thought when I graduated that I was just going to do theater. I really had no interest in doing television at all. And so I was mostly just doing theater, regional theater, and theater in New York for a few years, and then started doing some TV. My first TV gig was on the soap opera Guiding Light, playing a cop who was undercover as a prostitute, because that's what lady cops do. They go undercover as prostitutes. And I think that I've just always been open to, you know, I have ideas of like what I would like to do, but I've also just been so open to what comes my way. And I'm glad for that, because there's been so many things that I haven't expected that have been so much fun and so interesting that I wouldn't have sought out. And doors have continued to open and people have continued to encourage me at a greater rate than the rejection has happened. So that's kept me going. And I love it too much, I guess, not to do it. And I think you have to love it because it's so much fun and it's such a gift to get to do it, but it also comes with a lot of headache and a lot of heartache. And mostly, when I was talking about, she was asking me about that Star Wars audition, and I was like, well, it was one of hundreds that amounted to nothing. Like, at the time, it was no big deal at all because I don't get most of what I go in for, and I don't have any reason to think more or less of any one over another one. And most of it is rejection. And I feel one of the things that's particularly special about like coming to a convention like this and meeting all of you and hearing that you appreciate some of these roles that I've done, it means so much because there's so much that we do as actors that never, ever, 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 ever gets seen. We work so hard on countless auditions. We work so hard on our own material. We work so hard on, I've done a bunch of plays that like just a few people have seen, but most of what we do, like not a lot of people see. So to have something make a bigger impression and to be seen by a wider audience is such a huge gift. And it really means so much that you guys want to take the time to come and reflect that back to us. And so I really, really thank you for that. And for me too, because I love theater so much, and I love that the audience is such a vital part of the storytelling process in theater, and I miss that when I'm doing TV and film. And it sort of feels like the conventions sort of close that circle a little bit, because here's where I get to finally be in the same room as you guys and have this in the moment experience, and we get to share the story together, and we get to talk about how we feel about the story, and you get to tell me things I didn't even know about the story. I learned so much from all of you. So I love this part of the storytelling. So thank you for that. Hello, my friend. Yes, you did. That was a good run.
Well, my name is Joseph, and I have a question of how you felt when you first acted in the Supernatural movie and Mandalorian.
How I first felt when I acted in both of them?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, when I did my very first scene in Supernatural, I remember it was a scene with Jensen, and we were just surrounded by a big cloud of fog, so it was really weird. I'm distracted by that man who's talking. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Dean. They're going to check in with us in a little bit. That's nice. Yeah, I remember being surrounded by like a big cloud of stuff that I guess was supposed to be my character or something, because the darkness traveled in a cloud. So that was and I remember being really nervous because it was like my first day on set and it was this new character. But I also remember that Jensen was so nice, and that was, I went into that show in the 11th season. They had been on for 10 seasons already. And I tell people that going into a show like that, it sort of feels like when you're a new kid at school, like you're transferring to a new school and you're like, thrown in the middle of the school year, and you're trying to figure out like how everyone does things and how you're going to fit in. And sometimes you get onto a new set and they have, a way of doing things, and they just want you to like do things the way that they do them. And that's neither good nor bad. It's just the way they do them. And sometimes, and this is the case with Supernatural, they just welcome you with open arms, and they want to know what you have to bring to the table, and they want to play, and they want to see all the new things that you have to offer. And that was my experience with that, and that was really great. The Mandalorian, oh my gosh, it was surreal, because when I was a kid, I used to like play Ewok adventures in my backyard. And then I'm walking onto this set that's and it was, I had gotten to finally like talk to John and Dave about a week before we shot, I guess, and talk to them a little bit about who this character was. And I had seen the costume because I'd gone in for fittings, and that was magnificent. And I gotten to talk to them a little bit about who the character was and what some of their references were. But then walking onto this set and seeing this beautiful world that they'd created, and it still blows my mind that like I get to go get paid to play Star Wars. It's really weird. And it's so cool and so fun. And I was definitely nervous both days, but in both situations I was walking into environments that were very welcoming and with really gracious people who love the work that they do and who love working with everybody. And I'm so glad for that, because that's not always the case. Sometimes people are really stressed out and nervous and stress out all the people around them. Thank you for your question. Are you a fan of both shows?
I watch Supernatural with him sometimes.
You don't get scared? Dude, you're brave.
And I also watch Star Wars, so.
Which one do you like better?
Well, I didn't watch the full season of The Mandalorian, but I do watch some of the seasons of the actual Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
So,
what's your favorite?
Probably season 3.
Episode 3?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Right on.
Actually, I have a quick question. My name is Kyle, and
hi, Kyle.
I'm an alcohol. No, wait, sorry, wrong meeting.
All are welcome here.
So some actors have played some roles that afterwards they were like, I kind of wish this movie would never come out, or you know, I really regret. I'm not talking about anyone in particular. Do you have such a movie that you're like, I kind of regret coming on board for this movie because it was not exactly what I was hoping for?
I don't. Yeah, but that's going to be a great shot. This is why it's good that I wear a mask. I'm trying to think, because there's got to be something that I can look back on and say, oh. I mean, there's plenty that my brother wishes I hadn't done. Because my brother, it's funny, because my parents are like not fazed by anything. And my brother gets really uncomfortable if I'm like even kissing a guy. Or he doesn't like it when I die, which is sweet. So there was this movie that I did. I just had a tiny, tiny part in it that was called The Lucky Ones. And it was this road trip movie about these 3 soldiers who were on leave from Iraq. Tim Robbins and Rachel McAdams and Michael Pena. And they were road tripping across the country. And at one point they were staying in this, I think like a national park. And they came across these 3 women who were in a mobile home, in an RV, and it turns out they were prostitutes. And it turned out Michael Pena's character was like having some issues and nervous about going home to his wife, and so they thought, oh, these ladies could help. And my character was feeling super patriotic, and so I was like, of course I can help. And that was the extent of my part in the movie. And I don't feel that I'm not embarrassed by it or anything. I think I did just fine, but that's one that I know my brother was like, why'd you do that? I was like, because I gotta work. And like really great people in the movie, right? And it was funny, like there wasn't anything gratuitous about it. You didn't see anything. No, I don't have anything that, I mean, there's some things that, I had a movie that came out recently that I shot 8 years ago, and that was weird. It was weird to see what I had done 8 years ago, and also surprising that nobody realized how old it was, which was kind of great, because I guess I don't look much older than I did 8 years ago, so that was flattering.
Is that the Haunting of Mary Celeste?
Yes, The Haunting of the Mary Celeste. And that was frustrating because I don't want to say too much, but the reason it didn't come out is because we had some frustrating people involved who were tying things up, and our director was cut out of a lot of the decision-making process. And I thought that we had a really wonderful director, and I think if she had been left to her devices more, it would have turned out better. So that was a bummer. But that was just a weird experience. Like seeing something that you worked on that long ago was bizarre. What were you? What did you say?
Holy crap! I've just done so many lousy indies.
Well, that just means you've worked a lot. That's good.
Yeah.
We
Maybe I've
went
just
through
been
all of them.
unemployed more.
Yeah.
I've just been crying into my pillow more than you have. You got paid at least.
Yeah, well, some of them. Have you never done an indie horror movie or anything?
I haven't, no.
No, you kidding? Do you want to?
You want to do one right now?
Yeah.
Let's go.
We can go to Ohio.
Everyone's cast.
Murder at the Con.
I mean, you do episodes of X-Files in your panels. We did an episode of Supernatural yesterday. We can improvise a horror movie. What could go wrong?
Another question?
What was Werner Herzog doing on the set of Mandalorian?
Hold
was in
the
it.
whole.
What?
Have you seen The Mandalorian?
No.
He's in it, and he's brilliant. You got to watch it. I hear it's a good show.
I will watch it. I didn't know Werner was acting in that.
Yeah.
I love his directing work. I thought he was like being a director at another set or something.
No, he was in it. But
How's
then
he
he
to work?
also basically, he directed them
Right.
because how could they not listen to him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to watch this now. Thank you. I realize now that I've just been caught out by the fact I don't watch any of your work.
Well, you watched my panel, so there you go. Now you know what I think about all the things that you haven't seen.
Hi, my name's Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Love the work. But just
Thank you that you love my work.
we do watch it, yes. But just in regards to your Mandalorian costume, you said you were having some vision. Your handling, your dexterity wasn't the best. Now, did you do the fight scene, or how did that go over then?
I wanted so badly to do that fight scene. And I got that script about 2 weeks before we were shooting it, and I saw that, it just said there was a fight. And I approached Ryan Scott, our Emmy Award-winning stunt coordinator, and I was like, put me in, coach. I was like, I will work my buns off. What do I need to do? And he sort of patted me on the shoulder, and he was like, that's so cute. And he said, he was like, how much martial arts training do you have? And I said, well, none, but I'm athletic, I'm in shape, and I'm very coordinated, and I'll work really hard. And he was like, there's just no way that in 2 weeks you could pick up what you would need to for what we want to do. He said, but it's based in a martial art called Kali. You're welcome to train for 2 weeks and, see what you can pick up for transitions and stuff. And so I did that, and that was tremendously satisfying for me. It was a lot of fun. And it was nice to have the foundation of what the fight was going to be. And so I did, I did some cool poses and stuff. But then I did not actually get to see what the fight was until the episode aired. And when I watched it, I was like, oh, okay. Because if I had tried to do it, you would have seen me trying really hard, and I would have tried really hard. But Lauren, who was my stunt double for that scene, has had years of training, and she made it look absolutely effortless and beautiful, and I am so grateful for that, because that's what that character needs. I mean, the thing that I think that the fight was brilliant, because one of the things I love about the character is that she carries her authority with such ease. She's not aggressive. She's not forceful. She is very suggestive in telling people what to do. I love that she guides Mando, she doesn't really order him around. She waits until he's ready for the next step, and she sort of guides him to it until she tells him, like, look, you got to take care of this kid. And that fight just comes out of nowhere. And then we've seen all these fights with, blasters and lightsabers, and then she's just got her hammer and tongs, and it's just so perfect for her character. And I love how effortless it looks. And I just sat there with my mouth hanging open, and my husband was sitting next to me with his mouth hanging open. And afterwards, he said something like, I guess I'll go do the dishes now. So I was sad that I could not magically turn into a trained fighter to do that. But I'm really glad that there's somebody who could make me look good. But no, I definitely did not do that fight. Sadly. Maybe someday.
Anyone else?
We're about 10 minutes away from the charity.
We are about 10 minutes away from the charity.
Charity schmarity.
I got to ask, when you were the prostitute in the Lucky Ones, were you also an undercover cop?
I was not an undercover cop in that one.
Because I thought that's what undercover cops, female cops did.
Yeah, that's the only thing you can be undercover as. You get it.
Did you have a question, sir?
Yeah, your dog. Where did you get your dog?
So.
Where did you get your dog is the question.
I got my dog in Pennsylvania, actually.
Did you really?
I didn't even think about that till now. What? I have a dog named Norma Jean Meatballs, who is half French Bulldog, half Boston Terrier. She has her own Instagram, and she has her own armorer costume made by Brett Fisher, who is here today. He is married to the lovely lady in the back. I don't know where he is right now. He's dressed as Chewbacca. Is he still wandering around with lots of adoration? Yeah. So yeah, she has an armorer costume, and she's come to some of the conventions that are closer to LA with me.
Aww.
Yeah.
And how did you go? Did you come to Pennsylvania to pick her up? No, how'd you?
Yeah, because we found her through a family that lived in Pennsylvania. We were living in New York at the time.
Oh.
So it wasn't.
So you drove and then picked up a dog that you found online.
Yep.
Oh, that's a cute story.
We had talked to them and seen her and
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how did you train her to kiss your husband while he's sleeping?
She does that all on her own.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she gives my husband open mouth kisses. She used to eat apples out of his mouth, and Dean was like, "How'd you train her to do that?" We didn't have to train her, but now she doesn't like apples anymore, so she doesn't do that. She'll do it with whipped cream though.
That sounds kinky.
Yeah.
But
you can find all this and more on her Instagram page.
What's her Instagram page called?
Norma Jean Meatballs.
I'm following that instead of The Mandalorian.
I have so much more fun posting on her page than my own. I mean, dogs are better than people sometimes.
Yeah, isn't that true?
Yeah. What's your dog's name?
Lilu.
Does your dog have an Instagram?
She does. Dobie Lilu. She's a blue Doberman Pinscher.
Blue Dobie Lilu?
Or
did you just stutter before you said it?
No, it's blue Dobie Lilu.
Blue Dobie Lilu.
Yes.
Okay.
Because blue Dobies are rare. They're only 10% of the breed.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. So I have a rare dog.
If you want to follow a fancy dog, follow
right.
Blue Dobie Lilu.
You want to follow a dog that licks whipped cream out of your husband's mouth.
All right, I think we have time for a couple more questions. Anyone? Did you have more?
How'd you meet your husband?
How'd you meet your husband?
There was a real question over here.
Is there a real question over here? Let's go for that.
Hi, I'm Wes.
Hi, Wes.
You mentioned about working with Werner Herzog on that set, which I can't even imagine what that would be like. But was there anyone in any of the work you've done where you're acting against someone that you just can't believe that you're acting against them, working with them?
Oh, I thought you were going to say that you just can't stand. Can't believe well, let's see. Who's made me the most nervous to work with? I don't know that I've acted with. I haven't been in a scene with anyone that's made me super nervous. I do remember, though, I freaked out when I found out I was going to work with Taika Waititi. He directed one of my episodes of The Mandalorian. And he has been on my... I mean, no, he wasn't even on my bucket list because I didn't think that there was any... You know, he mostly, like... At the time when I fell in love with his work, like he was mostly directing, you know, New Zealanders and stuff. I didn't think there was a chance that I could have him on my bucket list. He's incredible. And so when I found out I was going to be working with him, I definitely freaked out a little bit. And I was real nervous when I was going to set for the first day of that episode. And he's so much fun. I mean, he would have like 80s like rock music playing in between takes, and normally like there's this little area called Video Village where the director sits, and it's just like boring director's chairs, and you know everyone's looking at monitors, and he like brought in a purple velvet couch and like a lava lamp, and then he's just super goofy, but like also just so focused. Like he's wicked smart. And I also, there was a day, you know, we were talking about secrecy earlier. I did not know who I was going to be working with until I got to set and I would meet the people. And so there was one day that I got to set and was walking by the dressing room doors to mine, and I saw Giancarlo Esposito's name on a door, and I freaked out. But I never got to work with him. I really want to do a scene with Moff Gideon. And I will be glad that I'm behind a mask, because then I can just be like, and he won't know. But I guess fortunately I haven't like been in a scene with somebody who's made me really nervous yet, because you know Dean and I haven't worked together yet. So
There's a horror movie.
Yeah, but we're gonna do our horror movie.
All right, one final question. No pressure. It's got to be a good one.
Hi, my name is Angel.
Hi, Angel.
But my question really doesn't have to do with like anything, like just like more so like as like a person. If you could eat only one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
I mean, there's so many layers to that. Does it have to be, because immediately my mind is like, am I basing this on just what would taste good? Am I basing this on what would be like easily digestible? Am I basing this on what's going to give me like full spectrum of nutrients?
No, just like...
What would taste good? I don't need to worry about the rest of it. Okay. I really like sauteed mushrooms. Like a good like portobello mushroom, like the kind you get at a steakhouse. I would be happy with that, I think. I heard some nods of agreement. I didn't hear some nods of agreement. I heard some, yeah, mushrooms.
And the rest of us are being polite and not kind of like, eee.
That's fine. I'm not going to make anyone else eat them. What would you eat?
Cheese.
Oh, see, I just think about the stomach ache. But I guess
we
I'm
don't
not
got to worry
supposed to
about
think
that
of
part. We don't
Yeah.
have to worry about that part, right? You just eat it. And
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a follow, everyone. Visit her at her table.
Thank you. And come be in our horror movie. Who's directing? Werner?
Some kid out of Iowa, I guess.
All right.
This is John Glover, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Lionel Luther recommends it. Have some fun. Follow your fandom.